They tell you to work on yourself, to read more, to wake up early, to hustle harder, to improve. But nobody really tells you why. Why change? Why invest in discipline when comfort is easier? Why chase growth when standing still feels safe? Here's the truth. Self-improvement isn't about becoming someone else. It's about uncovering who you've always been. Under the noise, under the pain, under the fear. Self-improvement enhances personal growth because it reconnects you with your power. It doesn't give you worth. It reminds you that you already had it, but forgot. Growth doesn't happen when life is easy. It doesn't come from praise. It doesn't grow in the light of applause. Growth comes from friction, from challenge, from the moment you realize, I can't live like this anymore. That's the spark. That's where self-improvement begins. It begins when you've had enough. Enough of the cycles. Enough of the excuses. Enough of watching life move without you while you're stuck in the same place, wearing the same mask, telling the same stories. Self-improvement is the engine. Personal growth is the destination. Because you can't grow if you're still carrying the same habits that broke you. You can't reach new heights with the same mindset that kept you grounded. You can't walk into your future with your hands full of the past. That's why you change. That's why you build. That's why you improve. So that you can become someone capable of living the life you say you want. And no, it won't be easy. Self-improvement will demand things from you. It will test your patience. It will challenge your identity. It will strip away the lies you've been telling yourself just to sleep at night. You'll realize how much time you've wasted, how many chances you ignored, how many times you sold yourself short because you thought you weren't ready. But that pain, that sting, that's fuel. If you let it be. Because the difference between growth and regret is how you respond to the truth. Here's what most people don't understand. Self-improvement isn't aesthetic. It's not motivational quotes. It's not productivity hacks. It's not a morning routine you saw online. It's deeper. It's about becoming brutally honest with yourself. It's about asking hard questions. Who am I when no one's watching? What am I pretending not to know? What do I keep avoiding because it's uncomfortable? And then taking action anyway. Because real growth, it begins where comfort ends. When you put down the excuses, when you stop blaming your past, when you take full ownership of your future even if it terrifies you, that's the moment you shift. That's when life stops happening to you and starts happening for you. Self-improvement enhances personal growth because it breaks the loop. The loop that says, this is who I've always been. This is all I know. This is just how I am. You are not fixed. You are not finished. You are becoming, whether you realize it or not. But if you don't take the wheel, you'll end up in places you never intended. You'll wake up 10 years from now surrounded by distractions, drained by mediocrity, and haunted by the voice inside you that still whispers, we could have been more. Every time you improve, you grow, not just in skills, but in self-respect. You start keeping promises to yourself. You start trusting your own word. You start recognizing the gap between who you are now and who you could become. And instead of feeling shame, you feel fire. That's growth. That's when the work becomes worth it. Self-improvement teaches you the language of boundaries, of discipline, of resilience. It shows you that motivation fades, but consistency doesn't. It teaches you that your mind is a garden, and if you don't tend to it, weeds will grow, fear will spread, doubt will multiply. But when you nurture it, when you feed it truth, push it through discomfort, and water it with belief, you become unstoppable. You see, you don't rise by accident. You rise because you built the staircase no one else could see. You rise because you kept going on the days it would have been easier to quit. You rise because you refuse to let your pain become your prison. And that's what self-improvement does. It teaches you how to rebuild with broken pieces. It teaches you how to find meaning in the fire. It teaches you that scars don't disqualify you. They certify you. You'll start noticing the shift. Your circle gets smaller. Your standards get higher. Your peace becomes non-negotiable. Not because you're better than anyone, but because you're finally done being less than yourself. You start craving solitude, not because you're lonely, but because you're finally enough for yourself. You stop explaining your boundaries. You stop over-explaining your worth. You stop negotiating with people who only show up when it's convenient. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. That's what growth feels like. And it's not all pain. It's not all sacrifice. You'll laugh louder, breathe deeper, love harder, because it won't come from emptiness anymore. You'll see beauty in the smallest things, because growth teaches you presence. It teaches you that fulfillment isn't in arrival, but in the becoming. You don't chase peace anymore. You create it. You don't wait for permission to live. You give it to yourself. That's what happens when self-improvement becomes a way of life. And no, you're not perfect. You'll fall short. You'll fail. You'll have days where it feels like nothing's changing. But then, you'll wake up one day, look in the mirror, and barely recognize the person staring back. Because that person, they don't carry the same baggage. They don't make the same excuses. They don't shrink anymore. That person doesn't need validation. They've earned self-respect. That's the reward. That's personal growth. So if you're wondering if it's worth it, if the late nights, the early mornings, the pain, the solitude, if it ever leads anywhere, let me tell you, it leads home, to your true self, to the version of you that was buried under guilt, fear, trauma, and doubt. Self-improvement doesn't make you perfect. It makes you honest. It makes you free. It makes you whole. That's why it matters. Because your life doesn't get better until you do. And every small change, every hard decision, every quiet step forward is a vote for the person you're becoming. So keep walking. The path is yours.